Wow, what a surprise. Jeff George, we've heard it a lot, but I think he is the key to this game today for the Oakland Raiders. He's got to make good decisions, don't throw those bad interceptions, and most of all, avoid sacks, because that's been putting this offense and the Oakland Raiders in very tough positions, and they're having a hard time overcoming it.
Good news for the Dallas Cowboys. Running back Emmitt Smith, who suffered a strained groin Monday night against the Giants, will start at running back today. But speaking of quarterbacks, Jason Garrett starts for injured Troy Aikman. He's done a wonderful job.
Well, he has, and they'd love to see Jason Garrett play exactly like he did Monday night. No interceptions, didn't take any sacks, just manage the game. Let your teammates help you. And he has the teammates that can really help out a quarterback. Deion Sanders, the best defensive back in the National Football League, the best punt returner, and he's going to play some plays on offense. I think Chan Gailey summed it up best. He says, when this guy's on the field, I'm in awe. He takes my breath away. Deion Sanders.
Well, we'll see Deion Sanders on defense right off the bat, because the Oakland Raiders have won the toss and they have elected to receive. You're looking at Toby Gowen, who will kick off for the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys come in at 2-1. The Raiders at 1-2 on the season. There is Desmond Howard, who is deep. Full house on hand as usual here at Texas Stadium, and we're underway. Just inside his own 5. Cuts back, goes the other way. Has some running room if he can turn the corner, but he can't. Out of bounds at about the 20-yard line. A 15-yard return when all is said and done. Pushed out by Darren Woodson. And Jeff George is the quarterback in his 8th season out of Illinois, and the offensive line that he'll have in front of him looking to keep him off the turf today. Harlow Wisniewski, Robbins, Derek Graham, and Lincoln Kennedy. In the backfield, Napoleon Kaufman and the rookie John Ritchie, Tim Brown and James Jett are the wideouts, and Ricky Dudley is his tight end. Kaufman. Maybe 2 yards on the play. Randall Godfrey and Dexter Coakley on the tackle. Let's look at the Cowboy defense. Up front, Kavika Pittman, Leon Lett, Chad Hennings, and Greg Ellis, the rookie out of North Carolina. The linebackers, Godfrey, Strickland, Coakley. In the secondary, on the corners are Kevin Smith and Deion Sanders. Omar Stoutmeyer and Darren Woodson are the safeties. On 2nd and 8, Kaufman again, big hole across the 30, and that's enough for a first down.
Well, we saw what the Oakland Raiders, what they want to do today. They want to get the ball, run it up inside, because that's what's important. That way they can take away the sacks of the quarterbacks. It should settle the team down. There won't be penalties, and most of all, avoid those turnovers. Of course, on the other side, the Dallas defense, they want to make Jeff George think quick, because they think when you make him react real quick, throwing the football, he has a tendency to make bad decisions.
There's movement on the front line on the right side. Lincoln Kennedy says it was the other guy, Greg Ellis. Our referee today is Jerry Markbright.
Zone infraction, number 98, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So it's a 1st and 5.
You know, this is a good, I like this change in the rules. When the defensive man jumps off sides, gets in that neutral zone, then if the offensive guy moves, it's a penalty on the defense. In years past, that would always be an illegal procedure by the offense. It's kind of cleaned it up and stopped the defensive guys from moving around a lot, trying to make the jump off sides.
1st and 5. Out of the backfield is Kaufman. Grabs the ball, but that's going to bring him down just at the 35-yard line. A loss of 1 on the play. Kevin Smith was there to make the play.
I think we kind of got a little indication of what the Raiders and Jeff George wants to do. That time, before he could even get back to finish his drop, he's getting rid of that football, because 19 sacks in 3 games, that's all they're hearing. And this defense for the Cowboys, they go 19 sacks. He holds it. That fires you up as a defensive player.
Jeff George has thrown 3 interceptions in his last 22 passes. This is Kaufman. Running room on the right side across the 40 and close to another first down for the Raiders.
Well, Napoleon Kaufman on AstroTurf, he's fast on grass. So he's really fast here on the AstroTurf. And he's got this big guy in front of him, John Ritchie. Let's take him out. Any good running back in this league has a fullback that leads it up in there. Well, not a crushing block by John Ritchie, but believe me, those defensive backs, They know what his job is. They know what size he has. They want to stay out of his way.
He wants to be to Napoleon Kaufman what Moose Johnston is to Emmitt Smith here in Dallas.
That's right. Moose Johnston, that's his hero.
It's his hero.
Well, he wants to be like him. I don't blame him.
First down from the 41. Kaufman. And Kaufman barely getting back to the line of scrimmage. Randall Godfrey there to make the tackle. John Gruden wants to run the football today. He says it is critical not only to his offense in general, but to Jeff George's survival in the backfield.
Well, of course it is. It just eliminates so many problems that can come up. We've already seen that. And I said, Greg, what it does, it just settles the game down. It slows it down. And, of course, the slower the game, there's less chance of making mistakes.
2nd and 10, and 3 wide receivers are in.
Changing the play, Jeff George, something we didn't think they would be doing today.
Quick drop, quick throw, batted down, incomplete. Jeff George did say yesterday that the kind of game plan they had in should not call for him to check off at the line very much.
Well, and why is the system should take care of it, he told us. And last week against the Broncos, they had a lot of checkoffs. They had a lot of confusion. It led to mistakes, incompletion, sacks, and interceptions, you know, the worst of all.
3rd and 10. George, deep drop, and a whistle blows before the play got underway.
Prior to the snap, false start. Number 82, offense. 5-yard penalty.
82 is James Jett. Now the Raiders began the day with 38 penalties. That's the most in the National Football League. Make it 39.
Watch James Jett just leaning forward just a little, and that would not have been a penalty except he wasn't reset for 1 second, 1 complete second before the snap of the ball.
So now it's 3rd and 15 from about the 35.5-yard line. Howard changing up.
Well, you can see all the people, the blitz team, they want to get after Jeff George.
And he didn't get the play off in time. One of the things that they did back in Oakland, John Gruden trying to get his offense accustomed to a lot of noise.
Well, they practiced with it this week. You know, they had the loudspeakers out there, and every time they came to the line of scrimmage on offense, they turned the music on real loud, because you got to simulate what you're going to see here in this stadium. No communication once you walk up the line of scrimmage. Very hard to check off. Twice Jeff George has had problems with it already.
3rd and 20.
And of course the crowd knows it. They go, man, we're part of the game.
And they're going to run it up the middle with Kaufman. And Kaufman is going to get maybe a yard. Greg Ellis, number 98, in on the stop for the Cowboys, and it's 4th down.
That play illustrates to you how conservative the Oakland Raiders want to play. Let's see what happens. Let's see if their defense can dictate to Dallas's offense. Don't take the chances early.
Deion Sanders is deep for the Cowboys. Had an unreal night Monday night. And he's dancing at the 20.
A lot of room.
Sanders from the 12. Trying to get outside, finally brought down just shy of the 25-yard line, but he may have run about 40 yards in the process. First down for the Cowboys when we come back to Texas Stadium right after this. Back at Texas Stadium in the Cowboys' first possession of the day. Jason Garrett filling in for Troy Aikman, out with the broken left clavicle. And Garrett, 3-0 as a starter for the Cowboys.
Cowboys put in backup tackle at tight end, Flozell Adams.
Garrett going to throw. Arm pumps, got his man open downfield and underthrew him. Michael Irvin had his man beaten.
He had him beaten. The Cowboys worked on this play in practice. It worked beautifully. But Jason Garrett, play action, fake, needs a little time. This play takes a long time. Michael Irvin is doing it out and up. Watch the quarterback. He feels the pressure. gets hit, doesn't it? He's not able to step into it, and that's what makes the ball come up a couple feet short to Michael Irvin.
James Folston, the linebacker, in on the hit on Garrett. 2nd and 10. Emmett Smith. Looking at the running room, doesn't find much. That'll be pretty much no gain. Take a look at the Cowboys offense, the front line. A good one. Larry Allen, Newton, Clay Schreiber, Everett McIver, and Eric Williams at right tackle. In the backfield, Smith and Darrell Johnston. Michael Irvin and Billy Davis are the wide receivers. And David LaFleur is a tight end. And now Deion Sanders has come onto the field for 3rd down and 10. He is to the bottom of your screen.
Good game planning. They had a good play, the first play of the game, to score a touchdown, but they knew if they showed 4 wide receivers, Oakland spreads out. Watch Michael Irvin go right down the middle. Here's the safety, here's the corner. Jason Garrett throws right between them. Makes the perfect throw. Michael Irvin, look at that, nobody around him. The safety too late getting over to make the hit. James trapped.
1st down, Dallas. Emmett Smith, right side, across the 45 to about the 44-yard line. A pickup of about 2 on the play. Greg Beaker with the tackle. Here's a look at the Raider defense. Harris and Lance Johnstone on the outside, and Russell in the middle. The linebackers are Folston, Greg Beaker, Richard Harvey. In the secondary at the corners, Heisman Trophy winner Charles Woodson along with Eric Allen, Eric Turner, and Albert Lewis are the safeties. And there's the man who runs the Raider defense, defensive coordinator Willie Shaw, on 2nd and 8. Cowboys pick it up, pass this side, incomplete, intended for Irvin. Eric Allen defending the pass.
Well, you know, a couple things. The Raiders defense, they want to get Jason Garrett in passing situations. They believe when he throws the football, it stays in the air a lot longer, of course, than it does when Troy Aikman's the quarterback. You can make plays on the ball. Good example that time. Eric Allen had time to react, gets up, breaks the pass up.
Eric Allen, 6-time Pro Bowl selection. Chris Warren is now into the backfield for the Dallas Cowboys, seeing his first action of the regular season for Dallas. Garrett down the sideline, incomplete. Irvin, the intended receiver. Charles Woodson on the cover.
Well, that was a good job by Charles Woodson. That time lined up, man coverage, and you could see what happened there, the difference. Michael Irvin, he's not a receiver who can just line up and outrun you anymore. He needs a little fake, do something at the line of scrimmage. That time, no separation, and Charles Woodson just outruns him to the football.
That will be an interesting matchup to watch.
Hey, you know what? Michael's mad because he couldn't manhandle. You know, Charles Woodson's a big corner. He's used to throwing those corners around.
Desmond Howard is deep. Gowen locks this one up. Howard, fair catch at about the 12-yard line. 8 minutes, 21 seconds left to play in the first quarter. We have no score at Texas Stadium.
NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Air, Saturn, and by IBM.
A warm September day here in Dallas. Welcome back to Texas Stadium.
Warm.
It's warm.
It's hot.
It's warm.
It's real hot. Of course,
that's how warm it is.
The Cowboys are smart. Yeah, these big fans are great, but they're smart. They stay on the side where all the shade is. See, the visiting team, they're in the sun, you sweat, you squint.
Hate when that happens. First down for the Raiders from their own 13. And Napoleon Kaufman looking for running room up the middle, tripped up after a pickup of about 3. Our man on the sidelines, as always, Armin Katayan. Armin.
Hey, Greg, you know, as Chan Gailey wants to get Deion Sanders into this game as much as possible, John Gruden wants to get him out of the game as much as possible. What he wants to do, he told us yesterday, is not to give Deion 1 second of fresh air this whole game. He's going to do it by forcing his wide receivers to run Sanders down the field as much as possible and to block him as much as possible. We'll see what happens as the day wears on. Back to you.
All right, Armin, second down. George fakes play action now over the middle. It is complete, just shy of the 20-yard line. Tim Brown is there, but a pickup of 3 on the play.
That was a nice catch by Jeff George. Anytime you throw the ball short and over the middle, watch Tim Brown. He'll come up just underneath. Here he comes, and Jeff George fires it and reaches up. If that ball is bobbled or anything goes up in the air, look at the linebackers around Tim Brown. It would be an interception.
So 3rd and 4 for the Raiders from the 19. George going to lob it. Complete. Tim Brown out of bounds. Close to the 45-yard line. A pickup of 26 yards and a first down.
Well, it's a good move by Tim Brown. Watch it here in the slot. Going to go fake a little out and then runs up the field. He's against the safety, Darren Woodson. It is a good matchup for Tim Brown. He should beat him deep. But then you can see this is what makes everybody, this teases everybody about Jeff George. We know he's got the strong arm, all those good things, but he also can throw the ball with touch, and you know everybody's waiting for him to finally put it together, play well, and his team to win.
First down Raiders from their 45. The whistle blows. This will go against the Raiders. Let's see if it was tight end Ricky Dudley.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 83, offense. 5-yard penalty.
Dudley, the tight end, and another Oakland penalty. Week number 1, 15 of them. 16 against the Giants, 7 against the Broncos, and this is their 3rd here today.
3rd today, and a couple of them by pass receivers in passing situations, just being a little nervous, trying to get down the field too quickly.
1st and 15. Kaufman a pickup of maybe 3 for an NFL Today report. Let's check in with Jim Nantz in New York. Jim.
All right, Greg and Phil, with John Elway on the bench in street clothes with a hamstring pull. Bubby Brister, opening drive of the game, 81 yards and a touchdown pass to Ed McCaffrey. Broncos 7-zip back to Dallas.
Much like the touchdown pass Brister threw to McCaffrey 1 week ago against these Oakland Raiders. 2nd and 12. Kaufman, running room, right side to the 40. To about the 28-yard line.
Well, it's a blitz by the Dallas Cowboys. The Raiders got the perfect offensive. Watch the blitz. Here it comes. Now the blitz is inside. Napoleon Kaufman's going outside. Lincoln Kennedy. Look at this man, number 72, leading the way. The Cowboys are lucky this doesn't go all the way. Good hustle by the defensive back. Stops Napoleon Kaufman from scoring a touchdown.
First down from the Dallas 27. Harvey Williams into the backfield across the 25. A pickup of 4 on the play.
See what's happened. The Dallas Cowboy defense and Dave Campbell, the defensive coordinator, hey, he's looked at these charts. He says, hey, the Raiders throw it here. There's Dave Campbell up in the booth. They throw it on this down, this situation. Today, we've already seen they're more patient. They're catching them in a couple blitzes. They run the football. That's one of the reasons why they're having success.
Williams, right side, across the 20. Loosening the football to get out of bounds. It did, and it's still Oakland football.
We're sitting up here. I guess we're about at least maybe 75 yards from the action. From here, you could hear John Ritchie, the fullback, leading the way and making his hits. John Ritchie, fullback. He's the ultimate fullback. This guy hadn't carried the football one single time in the regular season. Boy, good block on the strong safety. Omar Stoutmire leads the way for the runner to cut up inside and make that valuable yards.
Another first down for the Raiders. There's the rookie.
Yeah, hey, look at his hair. It looks good there. We met him yesterday. I'm telling you, that hair was everywhere.
First down from the 17. Williams up the middle. Across the 15 to about the 13-yard line. And so far, the Raiders are making good on their promise of running the football today.
Well, John Gruden was talking about during the week. I mean, everybody knows, hey, he's the passing guru. You know, his passing, his system, and all these things. He talked about this past week in practice. They were just more physical. Let's be more aggressive. And most of the time, what you practice, you see the results in the game, and they're seeing it so far today.
2nd and 7. Kaufman back into the backfield for the Raiders. George with time. Rolls to his right. Throws and has his man drop it inside the 10-yard line. That's Terry Mickens. You know, Jeff George doesn't get that much time to throw in practice.
Well, that's right. You know, really a good job by Jeff George moving around. Watch him move to his right. Here's the thing that bothers me. Watch the receivers. A good job by Terry Mickens finding the hole, but the rest of them, the tight end, Tim Brenner down the field, and they don't know what quite to do. If somebody would have broke the other way, I think Jeff George would have found them for the touchdown.
3rd and 7. 67 rushing yards for the Raiders. George with time, flips it out of the backfield. Kaufman trying to make something of it inside the 15 to about the 12. That's a pickup of just 2, and that'll bring the field goal unit on. So a pretty good Oakland drive stalls inside the 15-yard line.
And you know what? It comes from the drive stalls. Mickens drops a pass that's right in his chest. That's what's hurt this Raider team a little in the first 3 weeks. They're dropping key passes in key situations. That always stops. Instead of a touchdown, they're looking at a field goal attempt.
Greg Davis will tee this one up at the 20. It'll be a 30-yard field goal attempt. The placement is good. The kick is perfect. And with 2 minutes, 34 seconds remaining to be played here in the first quarter, the Raiders grab a 3-0 lead on the Cowboys. We'll be right back. BS. Back to receive for the Cowboys, Kevin Mathis and Jeff Ogden. Davis, whose 30-yard field goal, the only points on the board so far, kicks it. It's Mathis. 25. 40. And close to the 45-yard line will put the Cowboys in terrific field position. Greg Davis, the kicker, making the tackle. 32-yard return and a timeout here at Texas Stadium. Great field position for the boys when we come back.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by the NASDAQ stock market and by Claritin.
Welcome back to Texas Stadium. 2:23 to play first quarter, and the Cowboys in excellent field position from their own 44. And Evan Smith goes to work right away and hurdles a man at the line of scrimmage and gets close to midfield before James Polston makes the stop after a 5-yard gain. Great pictures from up above. Aerial footage provided by the Bud One airship Budweiser, an official sponsor of the National Football League.
You know, I always hated that hole in the roof here. Always.
Why?
Because the sun would shine, it would be in our players' face, and it would make me throw interceptions.
I thought maybe it was because you were looking up at it all the time. 2nd and 4 for the Cowboys. Smith again. Right side. Cuts back, gets his first down on a pickup of 5. Let's check in once again with Jim Nantz for an NFL Today report. Jim.
Well, Greg, the hapless and winless Eagles with a quarterback change today. Rodney Peete gets the start. First series, 70 yards. Deuce Staley and a touchdown. 7-0 over the Chiefs. Back to you in Dallas.
All right, Jim. Was there ever anything as a soft touch whenever you went out on the field?
No, there's no such thing. Especially, it used to be maybe back in the mid-'80s and things like that. But now, every week, the talent level is so close. The coaching is so good, it's hard to dominate.
First down for the Cowboys with 1:01 remaining delayed. Quick slant in. Almost picked off by Eric Allen. Intended for Michael Irvin.
Empty backfield by the Dallas Cowboys. A different look for this Oakland Raider defense. One thing they said, Eric Turner said this defense knows what they like to do is run double slants. The inside receiver was running the slant. Eric Allen sees it. He knows Michael Irvin's going to run one, reads the quarterback, almost makes the interception. That's 2 passes today Eric Allen tried to come up and take away.
We have seen a very aggressive secondary for the Raiders so far.
I think we might see one of those double moves on Eric Allen, though, pretty soon.
Chris Warren is in the backfield now for the Cowboys. He gets the handoff. Close to the 40-yard line. Greg Beaker gets tackled for the Raiders.
You know, the Cowboys running the football, they think they have an advantage today. The defensive ends for the Oakland Raiders, not real big. And when you have Larry Allen and Eric Williams as your tackles, which the Cowboys do, there's a size advantage. That's why they think they can run off tackle, take advantage of the smaller Oakland Raider defenders.
Substitutes on both sides of the ball. Deion Sanders is in as a wide receiver and is flanked to the far right
against Charles Woodson.
Garrett over the middle, complete. And that appears to be enough for a first down. Ernie Mills with the reception, a 7-yard pickup. That is another Dallas first down.
Ernie Mills, one of the wide receivers, well, the wide receiver that Chan Gailey brought in here with him. He knows the system, helps the other players out.
Cowboys are on the move as we hit the end of the first quarter. And a Raider gets hit down on the field. 3-0 Oakland. We're coming back to Dallas right after this. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armin Katayan back at Texas Stadium, and a look at Chan Gailey in his first year as head man of the Dallas Cowboys. You know, he was in some big football cities in Denver and Pittsburgh, but the spotlight here in Dallas has been a little different.
Well, I think they caught him by surprise. It's pretty bright down here in Dallas.
First down from the 34. The pitch for Smith, who will run it left and finds running room across the 30. Darrell Russell with the tackle, but not before Emmitt Smith picks up 5 yards. Yeah, Chan says that spotlight here in Dallas gets a little gleaming.
A couple things. He says, I've been speaking in churches for 20 years. And, of course, he's an assistant coach, so nobody's there following him and looking at him. But he comes down here, he goes to speak at his first church, and he gets there and he's talking. He goes, my gosh, there's 3 camera crews here filming me, asking everybody questions about the new head coach in Dallas. And, you know, football's everything down here, and he's found out. And also, since he's been here, he's lost 20 pounds. And you want to lose weight, become a head coach in the National Football League. The anxiety will make you do it.
2nd and 5. Smith, left side, good blocking, turns the corner, and is close to another first down.
I think that was a good example of just watching the size of the Dallas Cowboys offensive line. Nate Newton, Daryl Johnston. Watch Daryl Johnston, number 48, leading out front. Nate Newton pulling around. They just get on the defensive back. Albert Lewis, clear out the way for Emmitt Smith.
There's the man they call Moose.
Well, one of the big reasons why the Cowboys think they can run the football again. Of course, the new coach, Chan Gailey, putting in some runs, helping them out. But they got the fullback back. And, you know, that always helps the halfback, Emmitt Smith, when you have a good blocking fullback.
9th play of the drive. First down from the 33. Garrett under the gun and goes down. And Darrell Russell is in on the quarterback.
Well, when you send everybody out of the backfield, there's nobody in the backfield. There's no second line of defense now for the offense in pass protection. Darrell Russell, number 96, inside. Well, the Cowboys blow the blocking assignments. Nobody's even there to block him. Jason Garrett does a good job of just protecting the football. And we had a chance to talk to Darrell Russell yesterday. Funny guy, big guy, and he was talking about playing the Denver Broncos last week. He said a couple times the guys were holding me and said, hey, big fella, you're just too good. We're just going to have to hold you all day today.
2nd and 16. Down the middle, has a man open, and it's batted down. Eric Allen with yet another big play on the corner. David LaFleur, the intended receiver.
Well, it's a good read by Jason Garrett. Does a good job of looking off the defense, but really what makes Eric Allen have a chance to make the play, you can see the ball hangs in the air just a little bit, and then enables him to come underneath and knock the ball away. He still almost doesn't get there.
Cowboys looking at 3rd and 16 now from the 29. 4 wide receivers in for Dallas. Irvin came back out of the backfield, catches the flare, blockers in front of him, inside the 25 before Pat Swilling brings him down. That will not be enough for the first down.
You're right, Greg. Michael Irvin's in the backfield. They bring him back there. He says, I don't mind you bringing me in the backfield every once in a while, maybe to help protect the quarterback, but bring me back there for a reason. Let me catch a pass. That time it was a screen play.
Richie Cunningham. Not that one, Phil. 39 of 43 for his career. This will be a 40-yard attempt. Kick is away, and it is perfect. Right down the middle. And that stops the clock with 12:24 to play here in the first half. The Cowboys have pulled even with the Raiders at 3. Welcome back to Dallas, everyone. Greg Gumbel, Phil Simms, Armin Katayan, the Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys tied at 3. The Cowboys marching to a field goal, and now Desmond Howard is deep for the Raiders to take the kick. Howard from the 3. Across the 20, out to about the 24-yard line, where he is brought down by Sherman Williams. A timeout on the field. 12:14 to play, first half. You ever wanted to fly them jet planes?
Nope, never. Don't want to ride in it, don't want to fly it.
The thanks of a grateful nation.
I'm high enough right here.
First down. And George going to throw. Flips it over the middle. Finds his man, Ricky Dudley. You know, Jeff George can flip the ball really, really quickly. It's one of the things about his arm. How does he do that?
Well, that's one of the reasons why he can. Let me show you why he can. Because most quarterbacks like to grip the football. They go to the middle. That way you have a lot of control. Jeff George puts all of his fingers at one end. And just think about it. You've had a big football, and he's reduced it almost to the size of a baseball. That's one of the reasons why he can flip it around, throw some of those passes down the field that other quarterbacks in the league can't do.
They're going to go back to the ground attack, and this is Napoleon Kaufman, a pickup of about 3. Well, now, if you change your grip, if he changes it that way, does it cause him any loss of control at any time?
Well, no, it hasn't. He said he's always thrown that way, and I've tried it because it is so unique. Nobody in the league does it except Jeff George. I've tried it, and honestly, I can't throw it 20 yards that way. I can only throw it 30 with a normal grip, but it is so hard, but it's something he learned as a young kid, and it served him well, and it really is the reason why he can drop back and be going backwards and still flick it down the field 40 yards.
2nd and 7, and the pitch coming around is Napoleon Kaufman. Kaufman knocked out of bounds shy of the 45-yard line. You know, everybody we talk to is in awe of Jeff George's arm, and in fact, we have one coach tell us, you know, of maybe the 10 greatest passes I've ever seen, 8 of them were probably thrown by Jeff George.
It was Mike Shanahan. Now look, he's coaching John Elway. Wouldn't you think John Elway's throwing some spectacular throws out there? But he is, you know, all the quarterbacks around the league, they call him the highlight film because, again, a couple weeks ago against the New York Giants, running backwards toward 40 yards in the end zone for a touchdown.
3rd and a yard for a first down. And Harvey Williams around the left side has it out to about the 47, close to the 48. That's an Oakland first down. Fred Strickland with the tackle.
Good example of what a fullback can do for you. John Ritchie, the Cowboys pressure in the line of scrimmage. He just throws his head and his body in there, makes the block, and lets Harvey Williams go outside. Watch the block. John Ritchie just goes in there, boom, hits, just stops the defense just enough so Harvey Williams can react, get outside, and get the first down.
10 minutes to play. First half, clock running. George throws in and out of the hands of Tim Brown.
You know, Greg, that was a play there. And John Gruden, and you talk about Jeff George. I know the ball hit Tim Brown's hands. He's wide open, a quarterback in the National Football League. You got to drop back. You got to set your feet, and go forward. See, he's going backwards as he throws the ball. Now, it looks pretty, but it's still high. Should have been into the chest. Should have been a much easier catch for Tim Brown.
2nd and 10. Doesn't find running room on the right side. Gets about a yard. And for an NFL Today report, once again, to New York and Jim Nantz.
Greg and Phil, the Chiefs come back to answer the Eagles. Donnell Bennett coming in from a yard out. 7-7, 12 minutes to go before halftime. Back to Dallas.
All right, Jim, thanks. 3rd and 9 now, and another passing situation for George and the Raiders.
Well, that's the reason, one of the reasons why they want to run the ball so much. Keep the 3rd downs, hopefully 7 and under. That way the quarterback can get rid of the football a little quicker.
George steps up in the pocket, has time over the middle, finds his man, complete for a first down. Ricky Dudley, the tight end, a pickup of 12.
There he is. Ricky Dudley down the field making a catch. Jeff George dropping back, just flicking it underneath. Good throw, good route by Ricky Dudley, and everybody in Oakland they're always asking, where is Ricky Dudley? When is he going to be part of the offense? Good job of stepping up. Sidearm delivery right into the stomach of Ricky Dudley. Look at that throw. Around the offensive lineman and defensive lineman, but still right on target that time.
Coming up on 8.5 to play here in the first half, and the Raiders on the move again. Hoffman, or make it Harvey Williams.
Number 22.
Pickup of 9 on the play.
I'll never forget what Tony Pacelli down in Jacksonville, their offensive tackle, said about running the football. He says when you start running the football consistently against the defense, it takes the legs out of the defensive linemen, because it takes so much more effort for them to stand in there and really fight to hold their ground. And when you start running it, do that, you tire them out, and of course it hurts their pass rushing too.
2nd and short, Harvey Williams doesn't get there. 56, Randall Godfrey. 55, Fred Strickland combined for a 2-yard loss on the play. So that brings the Raiders to a 3rd and 3, and the clock continues to run with 7.5 to play in the first half. Play number 10 on this drive.
3rd and 3, the Raiders. A lot of options when you're in these situations. You can still run it.
George going to throw for it. Out of the backfield, incomplete, intended for Harvey Williams. Dexter Coakley was there on defense.
Well, even if Harvey Williams catches the football, there's nowhere to go. Jeff George doesn't really look down the field at all to give the play time to develop. Tim Brown, the inside receiver, he was in the middle. He was open. Jeff George a little too quick on the decision.
So Greg Davis, who made a 30-yard field goal earlier, will now try one from 48. It's long enough, but it's not straight enough. That stops the clock with 7:05 to play here in the first half, and Chan Gailey of the Dallas Cowboys says we're still tied.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Oldsmobile, Bud Light, and by KFC.
Coming up at halftime, we'll be sending you to our New York studio for the NFL Today on CBS. Jim, Marcus, Brent, and George getting you caught up on all the action from this 4th weekend of the '98 NFL season, and a preview of next week's big AFC East matchup between the undefeated Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets. That's coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report. Loss of 2 on the play. Emmitt Smith stopped by Pat Swilling.
Well, it was a fake reverse by the Cowboys. The Raiders said, we don't care. They blew up the middle of the offensive line, and they all met in the backfield and made the tackle. Darrell Russell, Maryland.
Oakland Raiders have had things their own way as far as time possession and controlling the football.
Well, they wanted to slow the game down. They've accomplished that so far.
Garrett throws near side, has his man complete and out of bounds to Billy Davis. 11-yard pickup on the play.
Good anticipation by Jason Garrett. Gets back. He knows it's single coverage on the outside before the receiver. He makes the cut. The ball's in the air. Billy Davis in front of Charles Woodson, and Those are plays you've seen 100 times, hundreds of times when Troy Aikman was the quarterback for the Cowboys.
3rd and 1. And they give it to Darrell Johnston, who does not appear to have reached the first down.
Well, it didn't look like from here he got it. Now looking at the mark, it could be just a little bit short. We don't want you to call it. You're 0 for 2 for the year.
On the contrary, I was 1 for 1.
Really?
Till I missed a couple. And we're going to have a measurement.
I think the big thing here is if you're Chan Gailey, he's over there thinking already, if this is a little bit short of the first down, he's going to go over and get a bird's eye view of it. What do? Do you go for it on 4th down? I'd go for it.
I'd like that call.
Yeah, I mean, you got a good offensive line. I mean, you'd have to think 2 times in a row, either quarterback sneak it.
He's that short of a first down.
Of course, if he was in Pittsburgh, where he was last year, it's automatic. Cordell on a quarterback sneak, run the option, all these little things he could do.
The bus.
Well, the bus,
the
that's
bus
right.
in the backfield.
Now he's got the Princeton flash, Jason Garrett.
Dallas has gone for it on 4th down 3 times this season and has made it twice.
I think these calls for the coach, you got to really, I would think he would hand it off instead of letting Jason Garrett run the quarterback sneak.
Johnson and Smith in the backfield. Garrett going to keep it, trying the right side, and appears to have made the first down.
Jason Garrett on the 10.
Well, he goes with the safest play of all, and it's really a good job by the Dallas Cowboys, the right side. Everett McIver and Eric Williams driving their guys off the football, letting Jason Garrett just push the pile forward.
That is a Dallas first down.
Just watch the offensive line of the Cowboys. They get down low because you know the defense is going to try to go underneath you. And Eric Williams, real good push, moving the pile. Jason Garrett just kind of gets in behind him and falls forward.
Emmett Smith pulling Eric Turner off. 5 minutes to play here in the first half. Smith, left side, running room, across the 45, down to the 43-yard line before Turner makes the tackle, a pickup of 8 on the play. Once again, providing shots from 1,000 feet above Texas Stadium is the Bud One Airship Budweiser, the official sponsor of the National Football League.
2nd down, 2.
Nate Newton.
Number 61.
Boy, look at him. It's hard to recognize him. Slim. Well,
by Nate's standard.
If you want to call 320 or so slim, but it is for Nate.
So Newton will be looked at on the sideline. Clock restarts again. We're coming up on 4.5 minutes to play here in the first half. Lots of movement up and down the field, but just a field goal each side so far. Cowboys 2nd and 2. Smith pulled down in the backfield by Darrell Russell. That's a loss of 5 on the play. We talked about talking with Darrell Russell yesterday. He's an intense young man.
Well, he has a lot of fun, and you can just see the athletic ability. I mean, Greg, you even said, and he walked in the room, wow, he's big. And, of course, he is. But what really sets him apart is how well he moves. You could see at that time, we talked about offensive linemen. It's going to be hard to block this guy and making a lot of plays, and he's an impact player for the defensive line of the Oakland Raiders.
He spent most of his time telling us how he dunks the basketball.
Yeah, that's right.
Deion Sanders in on 3rd and 7 as a wide receiver. Out of the backfield pass completed to Ernie Mills, but that will be short of first down yardage. Marquise Walker there to help with the stop. And so on 4th down, Toby Goen will come in off the Raider bench or the Cowboy bench to kick it away.
Back team for Oakland, number 80, Desmond Howard.
So Desmond Howard is back at his own 10-yard line. Howard, fair catch at the 14. The clock is stopped. We are under 3 minutes to play for the first half in a 3-3 tie. have the football first down from their own 15. And George, under the gun, gets it away. Complete to Tim Brown. Pickup of maybe a yard.
Well, that looked almost like there was some miscommunication by the Raiders because everybody was coming in there so fast, and Jeff George doing a good job of just getting rid of the ball and not taking a sack. You know, John Gruden said to us yesterday about Jeff George, sometimes one of the best plays you can make is just getting rid of the football and throwing it away, not taking that sack, putting your team in a tough situation.
They'll stay on the ground, and Kaufman dashes outside and out of bounds, enough for a first down.
Napoleon Kaufman, he couldn't make his mind up what to do. He took it outside. He decided to go back inside. And then this tells you how much speed he has. Watch him as he follows up the field. Steve Wisniewski, good job of staying in front of Dexter Coakley. Went inside, breaks it back out, has the speed, picks up the first down.
You know, we talk about those defensive linemen for the Cowboys. Everybody has something to say about Steve Wisniewski.
Yeah. Well, he plays till the whistle blows, and maybe a second or two after.
Speaking of the whistle blows for the 2-minute warning. Just prior to the snap, the clock stops with 2 minutes to play here in the first half at Texas Stadium. The Raiders and the Cowboys knotted at 3.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Volkswagen and by First Union.
CBS Sportsline puts you inside the game, from late-breaking news and in-depth team reports to sortable stats. Get 24-hour NFL coverage on cbs.sportsline.com.
Greg, I like what the Raiders are doing today. We talked about slowing it down, running the football, showing patience, no turnovers, and no bad penalties so far.
George, hit from behind. Greg Ellis. First sack of the day for the Cowboys, 20th sack of the year on Jeff George.
Look, really good job by the Raiders offensive line and backs. They pick up the blitz. Jeff George steps up. Plenty of time to look at it. Jeff, you got to get rid of the football. Good hustle by Greg Ellis, getting around and making a sack just on the hustle.
Loss of 4 on the play. It's 2nd and 14. They'll keep it on the ground with Kaufman on the right side. And the clock continues to move. Under a minute and a half to play in the first half.
And that's why you keep it on the ground. You make the Cowboys call a timeout.
And the clock now stopped on the field. 1:22 to play, first half. Once again, coming up at halftime, we'll be sending you to our New York studio for the NFL Today on CBS. Jim Nantz, Marcus Allen, Brent Jones, George Seifert getting you caught up on all this action from this 4th weekend of the '98 season. And a preview of next week's big AFC East matchup between the undefeated Miami Dolphins and the New York Jets, all coming up on the NASDAQ halftime report, which is a minute 24 away. And the Raiders with 3rd and 12 from their own 25. George down the sideline. Complete. James Jett for the touchdown. 75 yards.
That's right. Got to smile. Sometimes you got to get a break. The Oakland Raiders, they feel like a lot of things have been going against them. Some of the calls, some of the breaks in the game. Well, they get a big one here. James Jett. Good job by Jeff George. It's one-on-one. He just lets it fly down the sideline. Kevin Smith in perfect position. The ball bounces up. James Jett takes advantage of it.
You know, the concern for the Cowboys was Kevin Smith's speed against James Jett's speed. He was with him step for step and just didn't get the bounce.
You're right, Greg. And in good position, turns and looks for the ball.
The point after is good. A minute 14 to play in the first half. Jeff George says that's a little of what we've been looking for this season. Back in Dallas, James Jett makes his first catch of the day, a big one, a 75-yarder for a touchdown.
You know, Greg, we were saying before we went to commercial, you're the quarterback, you're the Raiders, you don't apologize. You know, it's a touchdown. Nobody cares. It scores. You're down 10-3 or you're up 10-3 if you're the Raiders. So you got to take these breaks. It's a big one for the Raiders, and the big thing is now, can you take advantage of it and create situations for your team to widen the lead even more?
And as you mentioned during the break, the first time we can think of today that Jeff George has thrown the football down the field.
Well, it just tells you everything they're doing. Dallas forced him to throw it down the field at time because nobody else had a chance of getting open, but really conservative by the Raiders, and it's worked. Usually conservative games, I've played in a lot of them myself. It means you're going to get late in the third quarter, early fourth quarter of a tight, low-scoring game. Then who can make the play to win it?
Kevin Mathis, Jeff Ogden deep for the Cowboys. This will be Mathis at the 8. Running room. 40 across the 45, and the Cowboys will have good field position in these last 67 seconds here in the first half. Let's go back to the touchdown.
Well, let's take a look at it. James Jett down the right sideline. The ball goes up off the back of Kevin Smith. James Jett alertly stays with it, sees it pop up, and makes the catch. And John Gruden, boy, that makes it, hey, he's had a rough week. They lost the game. His wife had a little accident last week.
His wife, Cindy, broke her foot at home. We want to send our best wishes off to her.
So he's like he said, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't the most comfortable week he's enjoyed.
And a timeout is called on the field now by the Oakland Raiders. Total yards here in the first half. Boy, the Raiders have just piled them up. And we were talking about it just before that touchdown pass. You said, are you surprised by this score? I thought it was a little bit surprising, particularly the way the Raiders have moved the ball up and down the field so far today.
Well, yeah, they're moving it in the middle of the field, but when it comes down to making plays, that's when they're having the problem. The same with the Cowboys. I'm not surprised at the pace of the game for the Cowboys. Jason Garrett's in there. They want to kind of keep it under control. They want the Raiders to make the mistake, then take it like they did against the Giants on Monday night.
Let's go downstairs to Armin Katayan. Armin.
You know, Greg, John Gruden comes from the football family. It's like all in the family. His father, Jim, is a regional scout for the 49ers. His brother, Jay, was the head coach of the Orlando team, the Predators, that won the Arena Football League. Gruden's gone a step further. He's hired a lot of assistant coaches that come from football families. It's paying off for him. Back to you.
All right, Armin. Yeah, we asked the coach if he gets a little advice on coaching from the family. He goes here and there. First down, Dallas. Garrett from the shotgun. Screen, and pulled down in the backfield is Chris Warren. Pat Swilling making the play, the veteran in his 12th season out of Georgia Tech.
Dallas in a 2-minute offense. They don't have to hurry. 51 seconds. Still 2 timeouts. Can do just about anything you want.
2nd and 12. Garrett with time to the near side. Incomplete. Intended for Billy Davis. And that stops the clock with 41 seconds to play. There's injured quarterback Troy Aikman.
Troy Aikman hoping to come back in a couple weeks when they play the Carolina Panthers, I think he said, in October 11th, and that's rushing a little. You know, I watched him throw the football at practice on Friday. His left shoulder hurts. You know why I know he's not feeling real well? His ball actually wobbled. It was a little flutter in it. I said, boy, Troy must be feeling bad for him to throw something that's not a perfect spot.
3rd and 12 for Dallas. Garrett with time, throws over the middle, incomplete, intended for the tight end Eric Bjornsson. And Swilling again in on the play, this time applying the pressure to Garrett in the backfield.
Yeah, Pat Swilling and Chuck Osborne, both of them getting a good push on the big offensive line of the Dallas Cowboys, making Jason Garrett throw the ball in certain spots of the field that he really doesn't want to.
And now might Jeff George and the Raiders be flirting with the possibility of yet another score before halftime. Desmond Howard deep, hoping to get a decent return. Howard from his 8. And hits the deck at about the 12 or 13 yard line after the 47-yard punt, and here comes Jeff George.
And to answer your question, Greg, no. Come
Phil.
out 26 seconds ago. Things have really gone your way in the first half. Just sit down on the ball, go in at halftime, and make your adjustments.
Don't really remember asking you, but
Well, you kind of threw it out there. I figured you were talking to me.
So the Raiders will look to go into the locker room with a 7-point lead at halftime, which is 26 seconds away. And they will. This will be protect the football on one snap and call it a half. A couple of field goals had it tight until a few moments ago. 75-yard touchdown pass, Jeff George to James Jett. And that's the difference in the football game so far. And we're at halftime. 10-3 Raiders. We'll be sending you to New York on the NASDAQ Halftime Report. Jim Nance and company getting you caught up on scores and highlights after these messages from your local station. Texas Stadium on quite the warm day here in late September. Welcome back, everyone. The Raiders with a 10-3 lead on the Dallas Cowboys at halftime. Greg Gumbel along with Phil Simms. And, you know, you sit there, and I made the comment before halftime, Raiders went up and down the field without denting the end zone until late in the first half.
Hey, guess what? The Raiders are winning because they're not making all those stupid mistakes today. And look, 3 little harmless 5-yard penalties, no turnovers. We've talked about slowing it down. That is the big reason why they're winning the game.
Do you expect the Cowboys to change much?
I would think not. The Cowboys going at halftime, they say, look, we had chances for 2 big plays. They didn't get it done. Their defense has played well. They got unlucky. That's what they're going to say on the long pass. So the Cowboys, they'll wait for their opportunity. Don't press the issue. Let the plays come. Don't try to make them.
I'm not really this much shorter than Phil. I'm just sitting
Yes,
down.
you are.
Incidentally, our halftime statistics, boy, take a look at the total yards. Even without that 75-yard play near the end of the first half, the Raiders have dominated.
You know, John Gruden, I really like what they've done. You come in, everybody's expecting this fancy passing offense that John Gruden's going to bring in. They just went back to the basics. Let's work hard. Let's be physical. Let's out-hit the other team. When you do that, then you can get fancy after you get that accomplished.
Boy, you see 3 penalties for 15 yards in the first half for the Raiders. That's a major accomplishment for them considering what's going on this season.
That seems to be, that's the only thing everybody talks about when they talk about the Oakland Raiders. So John Gruden's been working on it. They stress it in practice. They're starting to see those results in the last couple of weeks.
Hey, it's a Raider team that hung very well for much of the game last week with the Denver Broncos. They've got terrific young talent on the squad.
Everybody keeps saying, everybody expected the Cowboys to blow the Raiders out today, and I keep saying, remember who the Raiders have lost to. They've lost to Kansas City in Kansas City and the world champion Broncos. And you're right, Greg. I thought they played them hard and actually played pretty well last week against the Broncos.
Cowboys to receive the second half kickoff. Kevin Mathis and Jeff Osmond are deep. And this will be Mathis on the run. Out over the 25 to about the 27-yard line. And that's where the Cowboys will put it in play. That's a 16-yard return. Let's go downstairs to Armin Katayan. Armin.
You know, Greg, I just talked to John Gruden just a few moments ago, and he said things are going just perfect right now, right according to plan. We're running the ball the way I want us to run it, and it's setting up the pass. As far as the Cowboys, they're not saying much. Right now, it's just a lot of silence on that sideline. Back to you.
All right, Armin.
Hey, Armin, it's cool up here in the booth. We got fans on us, man. Feels good. How are you doing?
Simms has a cruel streak in him. First down, Cowboys from their own 27-yard line. And Emmitt Smith has nowhere to go on the right side.
Darrell Russell up the field, forcing the play. Emmitt Smith, like you said, Greg, has nowhere to go. When you watch Darrell Russell play, you can see this guy is quickly going to become one of the dominant defensive linemen in the National Football League. Number 96 just going to fight right up the field. Just beats Everett McIver to the punch, gets up there, no chance for the offensive lineman to seal him off on a play like that.
2nd and 13. Garrett, quick drop over the middle, in and out of the hands of Billy Davis.
Well, those are those chances you look for if you're an offense. The Dallas Cowboys, the Raiders come up, they try to pressure the quarterback. Jason Garrett, nobody outside. Look at the blitz coming up inside. Good pickup. Time for him to throw it. Greg Beaker gets there too late. And look at that pass to Billy Davis. It is perfect, and he drops it.
And now Deion Sanders in on 3rd down as a receiver. Chris Warren in the backfield.
I'm in the middle. You stretch.
3rd and 13. Deion to the bottom of your screen. Over the middle, Warren, 30. Across the 35, 1st down yardage for the Cowboys.
Well, I've seen some soft defenses, and a lot of people used to get so upset when they'd watch games, but this is almost a prevent. Look, 2 guys on the outside. Look at the middle of the field. Nobody's in there. Jason Garrett says, well, I'm not going to try to throw it outside. He sees Chris Warren sneak out, drop it to him. 15 yards later, we got a 1st down.
Cowboys now up to their own 39. Davis in motion. The give is Emmitt Smith up the middle. Running room across the 45 to about the 46-yard line. 7-yard pickup on the play. You know, we were talking with Michael Irvin yesterday. He took Emmitt Smith aside and said, don't talk to these guys who say you're done, because there are only a handful of guys who really know whether you're done or not. One of them is named Walter Payton. The other one is named Jim Brown. He says, if these guys aren't talking to you and saying you're done, don't believe it.
Well, I think a lot of the Cowboys really get upset about the criticism Emmitt Smith is taking, because they know they got 3 Super Bowl rings on their fingers, and he's a big part of all 3 of them.
Emmitt Smith again across midfield. 1st down, Dallas. Beaker with the tackle.
And Greg, put yourself in Emmitt Smith's shoes. I mean, basically, ever since he's been in the league, he comes down here as the 1st-round draft pick. Jimmy Johnson brings him in. He's had nothing but success and nothing but good words said about him, all those things. And now the tide has turned. The team is not as good. He's gotten a little older, a step slower. So the criticism has come like all of a sudden and very hard.
12 carries, 35 yards. 1st down now at the Oakland 48. Garrett. And Larry Allen appeared to have moved before the snap.
Prior to the snap, false start, number 73, offense. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
6'3", 325.
And a guy you don't hear a lot about, Larry Allen up on top against Lance Johnstone, who is a speed rusher, very quick. He knows it. Just rocks back a little bit. Larry Allen, next to Tony Boselli, probably in most people's eyes are in the league, the 2 top linemen in the National Football League.
2nd Dallas penalty of the day. 1st and 15 now from their own 47. Garrett, far side, has his man, Michael Irvin, complete and out of bounds, and it appears to be enough for a 1st down.
Well, to throw the football down the field, a couple things got to happen. You hope your receiver can get open, but the other big thing is you pick up the blitz. Watch Daryl Johnston step up inside, just kills the blitzer. Jason Garrett has all day to throw it. And no matter, even if you're a backup quarterback in the National Football League, if you get time and you have space around you, you're going to be an accurate thrower.
And Michael Irvin still looking for his 1st touchdown catch of the season.
Oh. And he was telling us, you don't think my teammates are letting me know it, are you, that I have not gotten a touchdown reception. Billy Davis, they're always working on him in practice, trying to get him to make sure he doesn't drop passes, which we saw one today. And he says, Billy, how many balls did you drop today in practice? And he goes, none, just like the number of touchdown catches you got, Mike.
Garrett will throw near side, incomplete, intended for Davis. Now, that sideline pass has been a staple of the Dallas offense for years, but it's a different story when Jason Garrett throws it compared to when Troy Aikman throws it.
Well, that's right. Well, you know, it's a different story for most quarterbacks when they throw it compared to Troy Aikman. And Troy Aikman might be one of the best that's ever played when it comes to throwing the ball out to the sidelines and down the field. Most quarterbacks, most offenses, you're just scared to do it because the results can be disastrous and the quarterback doesn't have the talent to do it.
2nd and 10 for the Cowboys. Garrett, this side again, complete to Davis this time, and he is brought down at about the 33-yard line. It looks to be about a 6-yard pickup.
Garrett's pass complete.
Boy, just a really good hit by Eric Turner, the free safety for the Raiders. And he gave us a little hint yesterday. We were talking to him. He says, if Jason Garrett turns right, I'm running right. I believe what I see with the quarterback. Jason Garrett had a lot of starts in the league, so when he looks somewhere, he knows it. He runs over there and tries to break the play up or get the big hit, which he did that past time.
Eric Turner had a 94-yard return for a touchdown last week against Bubby Bristol and the Denver Broncos. 10.5 to play, third quarter. Garrett under the gun and goes down back at the 40-41-yard line. Albert Lewis on the blitz made the sack.
Jason Garrett sacked by number 29, Albert Lewis.
Albert Lewis, a long-time cornerback who's doing well at the safety position.
Now he's a safety playing in the middle of the field. Here he comes on the outside. Now Albert Lewis, all those years, he ain't going for no token fake to the left. He stays his ground, shows some discipline, sacks Jason Garrett.
So on 4th and 12, Howard is deep for the punt. Howard will let this one bounces inside 10 and into the end zone. So it'll come out to the 20-yard line after the 40-yard punt. Stops the clock. 9:56 to play, third quarter, and the Raiders with a 7-point lead.
My wife loves Raymond.
First down for the Raiders from their own 20-yard line. Back to the ground, and Napoleon Kaufman dances up the middle for about 2 yards, maybe 3, before Randall Godfrey makes the stop. Napoleon Kaufman has carried the load for the ground game today. 14 carries, 78 yards, and we were joking with John Ritchie, the rookie fullback. He said, do you think maybe you might get your first carry ever today?
And everybody was laughing. Even John Gruden was laughing about it. He says, when you do, we're going to stop the game and give you the ball.
Jeff George on the rollout, penalty marker in the backfield. George throws it away. Let's see if this is a hold against the Raider offensive line. Jerry Markwright says somebody might try to trip in the backfield. Talk to us, Jerry.
He's getting it figured out. Nope, he doesn't either.
Tripping on number 40, offense.
That would be the rookie fullback, John Ritchie.
Ooh, John Ritchie, the fullback. He was telling us, too, yesterday how important it is for him.
Penalty is declined. Third down.
To be part of the pass protection, to make sure the quarterback looking to the backfield. John Ritchie misses him and then throws that left leg out. And Kavika Pittman knocks him down. Jeff George able to get away.
So the Cowboys decline the penalty. It's 3rd and 7 from the 23. George in the backfield, brought down by Kavika Pittman. Second sack of the day for the Cowboys.
Just a good job by Kavika Pittman putting the pressure on Pat Harlow. What he does, he gets him going outside, then he comes inside. Look at him come in there. And then look at the strength of his hands. Gets just his left hand on the jersey of Jeff George and pulls him down.
And now Deion Sanders hopping up and down back at his own 35-yard line. We'll get a chance to return this. Deion from the 37 to midfield. Almost vaulting, but not quite getting past Greg Biekert before he makes the tackle. The man has fun playing the game of football, doesn't he?
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Southwest Air, Jeep, and by Stanley.
Welcome back to Dallas and to the NFL on CBS. Deion Sanders thinking, he might have been a step or two from breaking that one.
Well, when you say he's having fun, of course, if I was that good, I'd have a lot of fun, too. And Look where the Cowboys are averaging today, starting on their own 35.
This is the best they've done. They're from midfield right now, and the give is to Emmitt Smith, looking for running room left side. Closing in on him is the Raider defense and dropping him behind the line of scrimmage, led by that man, Darrell Russell.
Wow, that was just some talent by the Raiders defensive line. Darrell Russell, Pat Swilling, Russell Maryland, you name it, all of them just getting up the field, disrupting the blocking schemes. And Russell Maryland stops him, makes Emmitt Smith cut back. And, you know, I bet these offensive linemen of the Cowboys, they know that Russell Maryland, he's going to come to play every single down. Working against him so many years when he was a Cowboy.
Clock moves toward 8 minutes to play here in the third quarter. Allen on the blitz from the corner, getting away with the pass. Garrett completes it to Ernie Mills. Charles Woodson is saying that it bounced and that it's incomplete, and now the officials are going to talk about it.
Well, they can't make their mind up, and I'm not from here. His back was to us, but it looked like he caught the ball.
Complete. First down.
17-yard completion.
Shane Gailey is wanting the play clock, but watch this. Ernie Mills goes down, gets both hands under the football, easy catch.
Good call for the officials.
Not easy, clean catch, I should say.
Clean catch. Raiders with a 10-3 lead. Cowboys on the move. First down at the Oakland 35. Emmitt Smith straight ahead. And stacked up just short of the 30-yard line. Call it a 4-yard pickup. And Eric Turner coming up from the safety spot.
Well, the Cowboys, they've had so many chances. They've gotten across the 50, inside the 40. They just can't make that play that gets them over the hump to score touchdowns. But Emmitt Smith, this is some good hard running. Good hole by Everett McIver. Play Shiver inside. Emmitt Smith running hard, gets up in there and gets 5 yards.
That is a huge fall off from what the Cowboys usually average on the ground. 2nd and 6. Emmitt again. Big hole up the middle. First down yardage and then some. Down near the 20-yard line before Eric Allen drags him down. And Emmitt beginning to pile it up here in the second half.
Well, when you have a big offensive line and you think that's the advantage you got going against another defense, you try to wear them down. You hope in the second half you take advantage of it. This time, Emmitt, I've heard so many coaches say that Emmitt is great. He runs the daylight. So if there's a hole up in front of him, this play's supposed to go left, but he sees it to the right. Boom, up in there quick, gets positive yards.
Emmitt Smith, 15 carries, 47 yards now. First down, Cowboys from the 20. Garrett to throw. Far side, complete to Michael Irvin. And a pickup of 3, and Eric Allen made a quick move on that ball, didn't he?
Boy, Eric Allen, he knows. He's even smiling. He's played for Philadelphia with Buddy Ryan for many years. They were taught, watch the quarterback. He's watching. Oh, he hesitated just a little bit to make sure it wasn't a double move, because he sees a lot of double moves every week. But Jason Garrett doing a good job throwing it outside where Eric Allen couldn't make the play on it.
2nd and 8 for Dallas. Emmitt Smith. Hole up the middle, across the 15 to about the 13 or the 12-yard line. And Eric Turner with yet another tackle for the Raiders.
See Shane Gailey on the sideline looking at that sheet, trying to decide which play to call. Now, he's not like a lot of head coaches. During the week, he is in offensive meetings, meets with the quarterback. He helps draw the plays up. He calls the plays during the game.
Emmitt with 25 yards on the ground in the first half, 28 already here in the third quarter. 3rd and 2. Smith gets the call across the 10, inside the 10 to about the 7 or the 8-yard line, and another Dallas first down.
Well, the Dallas Cowboys in years past were always one of the best teams in the league scoring once they got down inside the 20-yard line. And the main reason is it's harder to throw it when you get down inside because there's not as much room for the receivers, but they could still run the football with their line. Emmitt Smith pounded up in there. We've seen it the last couple plays.
Raiders stock up on big boys up front on the defense. Chuck Osborne and Grady Jackson in off the bench. 1st and goal from the 8. Smith looking for room inside and doesn't find much. Russell Maryland with the tackle.
Boy, Russell Maryland is really, well, you know, he's coming back playing a lot of his old teammates, and so you know he's fired up. But Russell Maryland and Darrell Russell, putting those two together inside, the talent, the hard-working Russell Maryland, it really makes it easier for your linebackers, your safeties, all your fast people to make the plays, because they just create havoc with the guard in both centers.
I think Russell Maryland knows anything about championships. 3 here in Dallas, 2 with the University of Miami Hurricanes. 2nd and goal from the 7. Garrett throws. Intercepted at the goal line. Charles Woodson. Woodson breaks away from one tackler out over the 20, and the Raiders stave off a Dallas touchdown. The Heisman Trophy winner comes up big for the Raider defense at the goal line. Under that towel is a very happy rookie, Charles Woodson, who just stopped the drive at the goal line.
You saw he got upset because he smelled touchdown and just didn't quite get away from the first defender to get there.
1st down from the 24. And Napoleon Kaufman around the right side picks up a couple. Let's go back to the interception.
Watch Charles Woodson reading the quarterback. He doesn't even react. Here he is. He will not even react to Michael Irvin. He's looking at Jason Garrett. He's going to look inside. He sees the ball thrown. It's to him. He did not go inside Michael Irvin. I'm sure Jason Garrett was expecting Michael Irvin to stay between him and the defender. He took it too far inside. That's the big reason for the interception.
Charles Woodson, the rookie out of Michigan. 2nd and 5. And George going to throw. Out of the backfield, Kaufman looking for running room around the right side. Gets very little. May have picked up a yard.
Well, the Raiders, they got to be looking and going, wow, so this is what it feels like to let the other team make the mistakes. You know, so far this year, it really hasn't fallen that way for them, but the style of offense and defense they're playing, hey, they made the Cowboys execute a lot of plays that last drive. Finally, the Cowboys make a mistake, cost them the points.
3rd and 4. George under the gun, throws it out of bounds, and the Raiders will have to kick it away.
Well, that's a good example where John Gruden said, hey, Jeff, sometimes throwing the ball away can be a really good play, and that one was. Don't force the issue. Nobody opened down the field, and that time, the other thing is, you can see Jeff George, he does have some mobility, able to get outside the pocket when he needs to.
Deion Sanders exhorting the crowd back at his own 25-yard line.
I'd kick it out of bounds. I would not kick the ball to him.
Leo Aragu is going to kick it right at him. Deion at the 26. 40. The 30. Dragged down from behind inside the 20-yard line by Calvin Branch, and Deion Sanders has put the Cowboys right back at the goal line door.
I don't understand why you would line up and kick the ball far right down the middle of the field to Deion Sanders. Hey, believe it, this guy is good. Why keep testing it? The idea is not to give the other team's good players a chance to make plays. They've been doing it all day long. Very fortunate that the Raiders, Calvin Branch is hustling to stop the touchdown.
44-yard punt, 59-yard return. And Deion Sanders, much as he lit up the Giants at the Meadowlands last Monday night, has put the Cowboys in good position here today. Deion Sanders accepting the congratulations and the way to goes from his teammates. He has put the Cowboys in great position at the Oakland 14-yard line. 1:20 to play here in the third quarter. to by number 98, Chuck Osborne.
You know, something that's always kind of intrigued me, Deion Sanders, when he returns punts, kickoffs, look how he holds the ball. Both hands in front of him. Watch for a second. He tucks it away for about one step, then he puts it in two hands again. Now, you know, if you ever run with a ball in your hand, you know it's a lot easier if you stick it under one arm. You can run faster, but, you know, had a chance to ask him that yesterday. Of course, I forgot it, but he does it. It serves him well. He's a guy that can return punts and doesn't fumble it very often either.
2nd and 10. And it's Smith. And Smith tripped up at the line of scrimmage. Eric Allen, his side of the field. Boy, what a game Eric Allen has turned in today.
Well, the whole Raider defense, but Eric Allen never known to be what I would call a good tackler. You know, just a good defender of the passing game, but he has shown, being with the Raiders, the defensive back now, coached by Willie Shaw, that he's willing to stick it up in there and make those tackles.
This particular comment about Eric wouldn't come off of any particular number of times he picked you off, did he?
Hey, look, he's just one of hundreds. It doesn't matter. It's nothing to be proud of.
Time winds down on us here in the 3rd quarter at Texas Stadium. That is the end of the 3rd quarter with the score. The Raiders 10 and the Cowboys 3. We'll come back after this message and a word from your local station. You're watching the NFL on CBS.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Microsoft and by Propecia.
Start of the 4th quarter. Welcome back to Texas Stadium. Chris Warren in the backfield for the Cowboys. 3rd and 10 from the 14. Movement up front. And Darrell Russell may have jumped too soon. That's going to go against
17. Offense. 5-yard penalty.
Wow. Calling it on Jason Garrett.
We'll remind you today's aerial footage provided by the Bud One Airship Budweiser, an official sponsor of the National Football League.
Why I'm saying I can't believe they called it on the quarterback. He's in the shotgun. I mean, Darrell Russell's really good, but he's not talented enough to see the quarterback back there. Well, I couldn't
Flapped his arms.
He did flap his arms, so.
Deion Sanders in as a wide receiver. 3rd and 15.
Stand corrected.
Garrett rolls right. Incomplete, intended for Chris Warren out of the backfield. And now the boos come down here at Texas Stadium as the field goal unit comes onto the field.
That's okay. Tough situation. Not going to pick up the first down, most likely. It is incomplete, but it still keeps them in, you know, field goal range. That's the big thing. Make sure you get at least 3 points out of this drive.
Cunningham made a 40-yarder earlier. This now a 37-yard attempt. Gets it away. And it's no good. Well, the Dallas Cowboys have pretty much owned this second half as far as possession of the football goes, but they come up empty on the board. Yes. First down, Raiders from their own 27. And they'll keep it on the ground. Napoleon Kaufman running room up the middle across the 30 to about the 32. And let's go back to the field goal attempt.
Well, all you got to do is read the body language, watch the face of the kicker. It's up, and he's leaning. Oh, and he just, you know right away. The thrower, the kicker, as soon as you let it go, as soon as it happens, you know if it's good or not.
So the Cowboys pretty much owned that 3rd quarter, marched up and down the field. No points on the board. The pitch for Kaufman. Kaufman looking for running room, left side, turns the corner, out of bounds, looking for first down yardage. Randall Godfrey ran him out of bounds, along with number 24, Omar Stoutmeyer. Talked about how the Raiders
1 yard in the 3rd quarter. The Cowboys did dominate the time of possession, the Raiders, but the big thing is I think the Raiders were just playing so careful. I mean, ultra conservative in the play calling and the decisions by Jeff George. They didn't really give themselves a chance to get any yards.
First down from their own 40. Keeping on the ground with Kaufman. It's this side. Ducks inside. Picked up 3, maybe 4 yards on the play. And for an NFL Today report, let's go to Jim Nantz in New York. Jim.
All right, Greg and Phil. Bubby Brister doing a fine job today, filling in for John Elway. Throwing another touchdown pass here to Howard Griffith. And there's also a backup winning in Philadelphia. Rodney Peete and the Eagles leading going into the fourth quarter by 7. Back to you in Dallas.
All right, Jim, and the troubles continue for Norv Turner and the Washington Redskins. On 2nd and 6, George down the middle, complete to Dudley.
This play right from the start, as soon as they line up, the Cowboys do not line up on defense correctly. Ricky Dudley, look, nobody sees him. He lets him go. He hits it in between the corner and the safety. This is something the Denver Broncos did against the Dallas Cowboys. Look, nobody's looking at him. Jeff George hangs it in the air. Good job by Kevin Smith watching the quarterback getting over there and making a tackle.
And by the way, it was another one of those passes where Jeff George just kind of threw it as he was leaning back.
Makes it look too easy. It's just not fair.
First down from the 28. And Harvey Williams.
You know, I like teams. I like things on teams to be defined, you know, a lot of times, because it just makes it easier for everybody. And what I'm saying is John Ritchie, the fullback, he knows his role on this team. Block for the runner, protect the quarterback, then occasionally get to catch a pass.
See the blood pouring down his face. That's from that cut above his right eye. His helmet hits him.
2 of them.
There's Ritchie. Ritchie with his first NFL carry around the left side.
Oh, that's great. Well, let's stop the game, present the ball to him, and yeah, that's got to feel good. John Ritchie making his first carry in the NFL, and look at the blood coming down his face. And it's a sweep play. He's got an option, doesn't cut it back. Wow, I'm really shocked he just kind of ran into defenders.
We asked him about the cut on his forehead, and he says, my helmet hits me there.
Yeah.
And third and 4. George flips it complete at about the 20-yard line to Tim Brown, and they picked up maybe 3 on the play. And that'll bring the field goal unit onto the field.
Well, you hope to pick up the first down, but the big thing is no sack, no penalties, no turnover. Kick the field goal, give yourself a 10-point lead. 2 possessions now for the Cowboys, and the way it's been going today, you'd like your chances thinking the Cowboys can't drive down the field twice and score against you.
So Greg Davis with a 30-yard field goal earlier. Missed one from 48. We'll try this one from 38 yards out. He got it. So the Raiders extend their lead to 13-3. Meanwhile, John Ritchie, is he having that bloody face taken care of? Nah, he's got a football game to play today.
He said, I'm a bleeder.
Back at Texas Stadium, still plenty of time remaining here in the fourth quarter, but as Greg Davis tees it up, his field goal from 38 yards out has given the Raiders a 13-3 lead. Kevin Mathis and Jeff Ogden deep for the Cowboys. This one won't travel very far. Mathis, and hit head on at the 25-yard line. 11-yard return stops the clock at 10:41, and on the sideline, the rookie John Ritchie finding out about life in the National Football League.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Coors Light, Staples, and by Honda.
Horses, Phil.
Yeah, I've fallen off a few of them.
There is the rookie fullback John Ritchie, who says that man, Moose Johnson's his hero.
Oh, I know. He told a great story about Moose Johnson. They scrimmaged in the preseason. He goes, I wanted to go over and meet him, say he was my, my idol. And he said, I I couldn't say anything, and finally Daryl Johnston looks at him and goes, yeah, okay, I'll see you.
First down for the Cowboys from their own 25, and Garrett to throw. Near side, has a man. Michael Irvin complete across the 40 to about the 42, 43-yard line. 17-yard pickup, and Moose Johnson does the kind of job that John Ritchie wants to do.
Well, you said, Greg, this is the guy he idolized growing up. If you want to be a fullback, you should idolize this guy. Check out the blocks, inside out. Allows Emmitt Smith to go up inside for about 8 yards, and again, boom, inside out. Another big hole. Daryl Johnston, you know, in the modern era, one of the best blocking fullbacks the National Football League has seen.
First down from the 43-yard line. Garrett, with time, goes down the sideline and out of bounds. Charles Woodson fighting Michael Irvin. And for a baseball update, let's check in with Jim Nantz in New York. Jim?
Greg, guess what that means? Just a moment ago in St. Louis, yes, indeed, Mark McGwire has done it again. 4th time in the last 3 days. This one, number 69 for the Cardinals slugger. By the way, Sammy Sosa, 1 for 1 today with an RBI single. And let's go back to you in Dallas.
All right, Jim, you know, if we were anywhere along that path, Mark would shake our hands.
Yeah. It's been an incredible thing, and it's just, you know, really, I've enjoyed watching it and feeling like I'm part of it. I mean, it's you're watching history.
Well, you're not a part of it.
Well,
2nd and 10. Garrett. Rolling, gonna run. 45, out of bounds.
well, that was a good decision by Jason Garrett. The screen never developed. Emmitt Smith couldn't get out of the backfield. The Oakland Raiders, the defensive line, James Harris, all of them kind of sensed it. Stayed around Emmitt Smith, nowhere to throw it. Jason Garrett makes a nice little run out of it. You know, if you're the Raiders, you're playing defense. Willie Shaw, he's the defensive coordinator over there. You've worked all day long to get Jason Garrett in this situation. You see his stats, 12 of 24, because that's what they wanted. Known passing situations against him so they could take advantage of them, they thought.
3rd and 7. Deion Sanders in, but he comes to this side of the field. Incomplete, intended for Michael Irvin. And Albert Lewis breaking up the pass. This Raider defense has been outstanding today.
Well, you know, Willie Shaw, he's just done such a good job with the whole defense. And Michael Irvin, it looks like the perfect throw. It is. Both hands on the ball. He drops it. A couple big drops today by the Dallas Cowboys have stopped drives. Albert Lewis.
Job well done.
Very well.
Desmond Howard deep for the punt. Howard from his 11. Can't dodge the tacklers. Falls forward to about the 15. Stops the clock. 9:04 remaining, and the Raiders with the football in a 10-point lead.
Guys who watches the football game, and then during commercial time, they like to have a quick game of tackle.
First down for the Raiders. Napoleon Kaufman doesn't find any running room on the right side. May have picked up a yard before Fred Strickland made the tackle. Well, John Gruden said, we want to run the football today. 102 yards for Napoleon Kaufman.
You know the thing, I thought Napoleon Kaufman, when he came in this league, going to be a situational player, maybe too small to be an every down player. But when you notice him, when you watch games, he never takes big hits. You know, nobody can ever just catch him and lay him out, but, you know, the biggest reason is he's just too fast to get the big hit on him.
2nd and 9 from the 17 for the Raiders. Kaufman to the left. Across the 20 out to about the 23, pickup of about 5. And the clock continues to move toward 8 minutes remaining here in the 4th quarter.
Well, that's what you expect the Raiders to do. Up by 10, 4th quarter. You run it for sure on 1st and 2nd down. Coming at you, Steve Wisniewski, number 76. Now, do you want to get in the way and stop this running play? Deion does the right thing. Try to run around him. Napoleon Kaufman cuts it up inside.
Steve Wisniewski, 6'4", 305 out of Penn State.
And he is really one terrific offensive lineman.
3rd and 3. Jeff George wants timeout. Saw something he didn't like, and rather than audible into the crowd, he'll walk to the sideline and talk about it with John Gruden.
The NFL on CBS is sponsored by Fidelity Investments and by Castrol Syntec.
7 minutes, 35 seconds to play here in the fourth quarter as you look at John Gruden, the head coach of the Oakland Raiders.
And he had Jeff George to the sideline. You know what he told him? Don't throw an interception.
3rd and 3. Going to pitch it to Kaufman. Kaufman trying to get outside. Can't break free. He's brought down by the Dallas pursuit, and the Raiders will kick it away.
Well, that kind of makes sense. All day long, they've kind of managed the game, and they look up at the board, and they've managed the game very well. We're up 13-3. Let's don't make a mistake now. So they do a good job running the football.
Deion Sanders fires up the crowd back in about his own 34-yard line. Returned one 59 yards the last time he had a chance. Deion at about the 38. And dances out of bounds, close to the 45, and a penalty marker flies. 41-yard kick, 6-yard return, and let's check the penalty.
Well,
there appears to be no penalty. We'll remind you, log on to www.nfl.com. Check out this week's player spotlight on Seahawks wide receiver Joey Galloway and get team-by-team matchups on NFL.com. Good field position for the Cowboys from the 44. Woodson on the blitz. Quick pass to the side. Billy Davis has it, and there he goes. About the 1-yard line. 55 yards on the play.
This is really, I mean, I could see it from up here. What a gamble by the Raider defense. A tremendous gamble. You haven't taken these chances all day long. There's a blitzer coming from the right. Charles Woodson, they see it. Look at the separation between Eric Turner and Billy Davis. One little simple move, and he's
to the 1.5-yard line, and the Cowboys with 1st and goal. And now, timeout. You guys called it. Dallas takes its first timeout of the second half.
Look, here's Charles Woodson coming in on the blitz. It's to the open side of the quarterback. Eric Turner is covering Billy Davis. That is a lot of room to cover. Jason Garrett sees it. Eric Turner overruns it. And we had the big play. Again, they haven't taken a chance all day long like that. They do it, and this, well, in this part of the game, I don't understand why.
That's a no-brainer for Jason Garrett, right?
Well, usually that blitz comes from the backside where the quarterback cannot see it. From a right-handed quarterback's left side, you know, short side, easy for Jason Garrett to see.
So the clock is stopped with 5:53 to play here in the fourth quarter. You know, a huge break for the Dallas Cowboys.
You know, it's pretty impressive, though. Charles Woodson was the corner, came on the blitz. He made the tackle. So he knew he was in trouble. He got blocked. But as soon as that ball was thrown, he went chasing. He's going to at least make the Dallas Cowboys extend one more play to score the touchdown.
Darrell Johnston, Emmitt Smith behind Garrett on 1st and goal from the half-yard line. Emmitt, left side. Touchdown.
You know, Greg, I go back to that big play by the Cowboys. You're on the Raider sideline. They're just trying to make a play to end the game. That's what they're thinking. Emmitt Smith down inside the 10-yard line. Near the goal line, good job of blocking up front by the Dallas Cowboys. Nate Newton seeing the end zone, still on his guy, pushing him back.
Cunningham's kick is perfect. from 1/2 yard out after the 55-yard pass play. Jason Garrett to Billy Davis. And the Cowboys are right back in it. Back at Texas Stadium, career rushing touchdown number 114 for Emmitt Smith has the Cowboys right back into it. They now trail the Raiders by 3 and plenty of time on the clock, Phil, at 5:49.
That's right, and if you're the Oakland Raider offense, you've kind of been playing it so close to the vest this whole second half, it's hard to restart the engine. I mean, it's hard to make a play. The Dallas Cowboy defense feels confident, and you're on offense. You need something. You need not a trick play, but something maybe the Cowboys haven't seen. You need to get that first down.
What the Raiders would like right here to jumpstart them is a good return out of Desmond Howard. Good kick. Howard into the end zone, and he'll kneel it down.
In situations like this, the offense, you go trotting on the field, really a good little gimmick that always was good to try in these situations. Try to draw the defense off sides. Get yourself in a 1st and 5 situation. Then you can run the football and a couple runs and still pick up the 5 yards and get that big first down.
Fourth quarter has not been the Oakland Raiders' point-producing quarter this season. You see the complete turnaround in total yards here in the second half. The Raiders have managed just 3 points in fourth quarter so far this season. George rolling, throws it away.
You know what we kind of see? Jeff George sacked 19 times coming into the game today. And we kind of see the effects of those sacks sometimes when he drops back. That was a good situation or a good example that time. He drops back, no pressure really on him, but he expects it. He's been hit, he's been sacked, so he just automatically drifts outside the pocket and really gives himself no chance to complete the pass down the field.
George has been sacked twice today. He's 11 of 18 for 165 yards and a touchdown. Kaufman, running room, close to the 25-yard line, a pickup of about 5. And Darren Woodson, who was in on the tackle, is slow to get off the turf. Ritchie comes out of the lineup, and now Harvey Williams goes in. Kaufman to the sideline. Four wide receivers for the Raiders on 3rd and 5. George over the middle, complete. Looks to be enough for the first down to Terry Mickens.
Well, that's a big play for the Oakland Raiders. Gets the clock underneath 5 minutes. Jeff George, the Raiders send 5 people at him. He looks for the safest spot to throw it. A quick slant into Terry Mickens, and good job of fighting for the ball and making the catch inside.
Mickens with his first reception of the day, and it gives Oakland a first down. Now at their own 31, clock continues to move. 4:15 to play. Kaufman. And the Dallas defense closes in a hurry. Dexter Coakley, number 52. Well, we talked to Dexter Coakley yesterday, and you know, I couldn't talk for about 3 minutes after looking at the size of his arms.
Yeah, they're big.
Whoa.
I mean, they're the most impressive arms I've ever seen on anybody in the National Football League. And he was drafted to about 5'9", 220, very fast, and has really been, I think, one of the key players in this Dallas defense.
He says those arms are inherited from his dad, who was a bricklayer. He said, no, I think you've done a little work on those yourself.
It looks like it.
2nd and 10. Kaufman out to about the 35. We'll call that a 4-yard pickup, and it'll be 3rd and 6. And now, see, the Cowboys stop the clock. Cowboys stop the clock with 3:25 to play here in the 4th, and that's Dallas's 2nd timeout here in the second half. We'll remind you next Sunday on the NFL on CBS. Many of you will see an AFC East shootout between Dan Marino's Dolphins and the high-octane offense of the New York Jets. In some areas, Drew Bledsoe and the Patriots take on the New Orleans Saints. The Chargers battle Indianapolis, or the Raiders visit Arizona. Check your local listings for the game in your area. And as always, it all begins at 12 noon Eastern Time with the hour-long NFL Today. With the usual suspects.
Yep. It's a good word for him, suspect.
What do you think of the way Brent was dressed today? Pretty good, huh?
He looked handsome. He looked really good. That's hard for Brent to do, too. Well, the Cowboys, they call the timeout, trying to preserve some time because they know the Raiders are going to run it and let that clock go down.
Now another big defensive play for the Cowboy defense. 3rd and 5 at the 35. George, quick one, incomplete. Tim Brown, the intended receiver.
Kevin Smith on the coverage, being aggressive, close to the receiver. Let's watch it outside. Tim Brown against Kevin Smith. Gets that right hand in there. A little contact, but still a good job by Kevin Smith playing the situation accordingly.
And now the spotlight again on Deion Sanders, back at about his 20-yard line. And they kick it away from him and out of bounds. And Deion will not have the chance for an NFL Today report. Let's go to Jim Nantz in New York. Jim.
All right, guys, up in Philadelphia, Donnell Bennett has scored for the 2nd time today for the Chiefs, backing them in. And just a moment ago, the Chiefs picked off Rodney Peete. 5 minutes to go, and the Chiefs are up 3. Back to you.
All right, Jim. Meanwhile, I guess they heard you a little earlier. You said, I don't know why you would kick it to Deion Sanders.
Well, you know, that's kind of like throwing at Deion Sanders. I mean, why would you want to test him? We know he's good. He's proven it many times. Let's go somewhere else and try to win or lose the game with better matchups.
We were talking to Jeff George yesterday. He said, I'm not stupid.
Yeah.
First down for the Cowboys. They have 3 minutes, 15 seconds on the clock. Garrett to throw. Over the middle, complete to Darrell Johnson. Out to about the 25-yard line, a pickup of 5 on the play.
Yeah, 3 minutes to go. You still have 1 timeout. Everything is in play. I think the main thing for the Dallas Cowboy offense, just take your time, try to make positive plays, no big penalty, and of course don't get sacked are the 2 biggest things that could put you in tough situations.
Johnson out of the backfield. Dragged down from behind. Doesn't look like a gain of anything. James Folston with the tackle.
Well, when you talk about the Raider defense, I think they did have one bad situation when they gave up that long pass completion, but I've had a chance. This is the 4th game. I think I've seen all their games. The one thing about this defense, it plays with emotion. They're playing smart. They just play so hard, and I think most of it goes to Willie Shaw, the defensive coordinator.
Deion Sanders in as a receiver at the bottom of the screen on 3rd and 4. Garrett goes the other way, has his man. First down, across the 40 to about the 43-yard line, Michael Irvin. First down, Dallas Cowboys. And the clock is stopped for the 2-minute warning with 1:55 to play. Cowboys looking for a tying field goal.
Albert Lewis on the blitz. Michael Irvin just going to go down, hook up, watch Michael Irvin. Hey, wide open. Jason Garrett sees him. The one thing Chan Gailey has brought to this offense is they know how to handle blitzing situations and the teams that like to blitz.
First down, Cowboys with 1 timeout remaining. Garrett, this side. And Eric Allen coming up fast on the pass intended for Billy Davis.
That is a dangerous, dangerous throw outside to Eric Allen's side. We saw how long the ball stayed in the air. Again, look at him. He's way back. He's watching the quarterback. And if that ball is down, Eric Allen is gone the other way.
said it earlier. That man has played a heck of a football game today.
Yes, he has.
2nd and 10, a minute 50 on the clock. Deion Sanders wide to the top of your screen. This side complete. Ernie Mills with the catch just shy of midfield.
Pretty impressive what the Cowboys are doing. You know it's a passing situation, but the offensive line has given Jason Garrett time to throw on every single pass so far in this drive. Well, the Raiders have been taking chances on 3rd down. It has not paid off for them.
Sanders to the bottom of the screen. 3rd and 5. Movement prior to the snap. And this will back the Cowboys up.
False start, number 73, offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
That's Larry Allen.
Well, they had a bunch of people moving. I don't know what happened. Sometimes, I'm not sure, but sometimes, you know, the quarterback forgets the snap count. And you're back there going, was it on 1 or 2? And you go, hut, to wait to see what happens. And that's what it looked like that time. The whole team of the Dallas Cowboys just not in sync.
3rd and 10. Garrett with time, far side, has a man complete. That's Billy Davis with 1st down yardage. 14.
Plenty of time to throw for the quarterback. Nobody gets around the feet or in the vision of Jason Garrett. He looks outside. Billy Davis standing on the sideline, nobody around him. And that's because Michael Irvin was on the inside. He went up the field. The defenders were looking at him. Nobody paid attention to Billy Davis on the outside of the field.
1st down from the Oakland 43. Garrett wants it all down the middle. Intercepted by Eric Turner.
Well, let's take a look at Jason Garrett throwing the ball here. I can't see what he sees to think that there's somebody open down the field. Watch Eric Turner. Here's the receiver, just goes down. Billy Davis, and there is no way to think that he is going to be open. In fact, I'm sorry, Billy Davis is on the outside, but Jason Garrett must have thought the safety came inside and came down because he never sees Eric Turner. And what a good job by Eric Turner, seeing the ball in the air, turning, adjusting, and then making the catch.
Eric Turner returned the Bubby Brister interception for a touchdown last week. The week before against the Giants, he intercepted Danny Cannell to secure a victory over New York. And he may well have secured an Oakland Raiders victory here with that pick at the goal line.
Well, he has really had a super year so far, playing with enthusiasm, kind of the leader of the defense. And Greg, you said it, 3 big plays so far this year that have helped this team win 2 games and gave them a chance to win the other.
The Cowboys burn their final timeout and stop the clock with 1:28 to play here in the 4th quarter.
Well, the Raiders, we said it, you talk about it, they've turned the tables today. They let the other team make the mistake. They didn't try to force the issue, and by not doing that, they were able to wait, and the Dallas Cowboys made mistakes. Look at the schedule for the Oakland Raiders. Arizona, at Arizona, San Diego. They think they got a chance to win a few football games, and the way they play today with the discipline and how hard they play, you'd like to think they could.
Several of them told us yesterday if they could grab a win here today, it's not unlikely that they could go into their bye date at 4-2.
Well, a lot of people predicted by the time September was over, the Raiders would be 0-4 with the 4 teams they played. But 2-2 with the schedule they played, I think that's a pretty impressive start for the Raiders.
Hey, it has represented a terrific turnaround in their style of play. They've only been penalized 3 times today. They have made no turnovers, and Jeff George has been sacked only twice, which is miles from the way he's had to play the game the first 3 games of the season.
Yeah, Greg, you said it. It's a contrast to everything that they've done in the first 3 games. They They corrected so many problems. And, you know, you can't do it overnight. We were there last week. They were working on it. The penalties, play harder, these kind of things. We talked to John Gruden. He said we're trying to correct them. They worked on it in practice, and you're starting to see some of those results.
John Gruden also said, we want to come out and run the football. They have 144 yards on the ground here this afternoon.
And that takes patience. It takes an offensive coordinator and a coach, John Gruden, to stand over there and call some running plays when you're looking up at 2nd and 10, 2nd and 9. And a few times we saw him run the ball on third downs today, too.
Hey, make no mistake about it. These Cowboys come off of a real high with the way they performed against the Giants on Monday night up in the New York area.
Well, for good reason. They played pretty well, too. They let the Giants make all the mistakes. They took advantage of them. The Cowboys playing pretty good. Had their opportunities today. Couldn't make the big plays on offense to get those scores in the end zone.
Raiders are going to take a delay of game penalty as they let the clock wind down to 6 seconds remaining. And now Leo Aragus will come on to kick it away.
Well, if you're the Raiders, you're not relaxed yet. You still got to get this punt off. Figure out where to kick it. You've got to get a good punt off because the Cowboys could get it inside here. You can kick a long field goal.
What do you think happens to Leo Aragus if he kicks this to Deion Sanders?
You better make the tackle.
That's right. Deion back at his own 43. Leo going to run and take the safety. But there's a penalty marker on the play.
Now that was a smart play. Really well thought out by John Gruden. That is a smart play. No block punt. No Deion Sanders return. Just mad I didn't think about it. Now, if you're the Cowboys, you must decline the penalty. If you don't decline it, the game will be over. At least if you decline it, they have to kick it one more time.
That penalty is declined. It's a safety.
So put 2 points on the board. It's the Raiders with a 1-point lead now at 13-12.
Now what do you do if you're the Raiders? You don't kick it off. I think you squib kick it to the front of the line of the Oakland Raiders, of the Dallas Cowboys, and hope they fall on it. You run down and fall on the game is over.
I would kick it to the Roadrunner before I'd kick it to Deion Sanders. I think Deion's walking onto the field knowing that if it comes to him, it's going to be a mistake. He had his moments here this afternoon.
Well, he did. You know, the one thing that I was probably a little surprised by when you just look at Deion Sanders, they never looked towards him to throw the football. And a couple times, the Raiders taking a timeout to discuss what they're going to do here and make sure everybody's on the same page so you don't make a mistake.
Remember, not so long ago, the Cowboys missed a golden opportunity when Richie Cunningham missed from about 37 yards out. Michael Irvin, Chan Gailey, and the Cowboys thought that they were going to be a little better than this today.
Yes, they did. But, you know, you talk about that missed field goal, but the Cowboys still had opportunities to overcome it. So when I look back, I don't see it as the big play. You know, they still had their chances. Even though they missed that field goal with a couple more possessions to get things done, they just didn't do it.
A fair catch of this punt would allow the Dallas Cowboys a free kick. But it's going to come down.
If it ever happens.
But it's going to come down just a little deep for a field goal attempt. Or it may not even get there at all.
Yeah, I don't know. These are situations you really got to work on in practice. I think I would have dribbled it with my kickoff team in there and made the front line fall on it.
Line drive kick. Flips it to Dion. 45. Flipped it back, and here we go. Sanders. Penalty markers are down, incidentally, and now the Raiders have picked it off. And that's Terry Mickens with the football, and let's check the penalty. Shades of the California Golden Bears.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
We were just missing the band on the field.
Number 59, receiving team. Penalties declined. The game is over. Offensive foul.
So the penalty goes against the Dallas Cowboys. The Oakland Raiders come in here and walk away with a 1-point victory. And you know, John Gruden, we've talked all week long about the Raiders. In fact, the last couple of weeks, how the Raiders have bought into his way of doing things. The only thing is, you have to see it pay off on the field.
Well, that's right. Teams always need a little positive reinforcement of what the coaches tell them. They got it today.
For Phil Simms and Armin Katayan, I'm Greg Gumbel. That's it from Dallas. Once again, our final score, the Raiders 13 and the Cowboys 12. Stay tuned. We'll be sending you off to New York for the NFL Today post-game report right after this.